All right, we're in Gemini season. I'm in my favorite spot in the forest, thinking about Gemini, thinking about pulling spider webs off my face, going through the trail. Um, there's a lot more light coming through, and if you follow the path of the sun through the course of the year, beginning in Aries, when it returns to the northern hemisphere, the Tropic of Cancer, we start to get more light here. And spring begins with an angle of light that is super different from the Pisces angle of light. And so that begins the new year, and that begins spring. And we just went through Taurus. Taurus is really about the bull and the action. It rules the cerebellum and the liver, and getting things in order for the summer on the land, planting. Now we're in Gemini, which Gemini light is so much higher. The sun is so much higher, the angle of light. I woke up a couple days ago thinking I was slept in, but I didn't. It was actually just a lot higher than usual. So that is the path as the sun moves through these different gates. If you imagine the tropical sky wheel in the sky, you can actually mark what time of year we're in according to the sun's noon position, which is actually 1 now because of stupid daylight savings, which nobody wants, but we'll continue on because they're always messing with our time in this reality. So the light the sun is a lot higher. So the noontime position for Gemini, or the 1 here in California, is very high in the sky. And it's moving on a steeper track up to its peak and then heads back down, and we're getting more light. So more light means more growth, more heat. And this, Gemini rules the lungs and the fibers of the glands and the nerves, and it is like the salt, the tissue salt for Gemini. It also rules the hands and the shoulders. That's what I was trying to think of. Hands and shoulders. And Gemini is the twins. Gemini, often in the chart, I see a lot of Geminis are able to channel information a lot easier than other signs because also they're really quick, moving fast, and the sun is moving faster just to get up to the height. It is like even at 8:30 in the morning, it's super high. And Gemini moves quickly. It does a lot of things. It's super active. It's kind of the trickster of the signs, and the channeler of the signs. So when I was reading about the health issues that can come about through a deficiency in the salt called Kali-mur. Kali-mur is potassium of chloride, and it's a spinning salt. So it's like associated with spinning thread-like fibers that actually build the flesh and the nerves. And what's interesting is, like, when you live in warmer climates, your blood gets thinner, and when you live in colder climates, it's thicker. And now we're moving into a warmer climate here in the northern hemisphere, and this salt may be required for it actually is going to thin out the blood, and that is one of its characteristics. If the blood is getting too thick, the circulation can't move properly, and you'll feel sluggish. Also, I started to get allergies, and it's really good for allergies because it helps with this thinning of the blood and building of the fibers. And this is also associated with rheumatism. So if you have a deficiency in this mineral salt, it will, you'll have more aches and pains. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between arthritis and rheumatism, but this is one of those salts that you would use for that. And it's interesting, it's associated with a lot of childhood diseases when you have deficiency in this salt, calimur, like the mumps, you know? So this gets into like, what is disease? Is disease caused by this outer thing, or is it a deficiency in the balance of the vibration of the blood? Because we are all vibration, and everything around us is energy as well. So it's interesting to note that a lot of these diseases are associated with deficiencies. And this was known, you know, I'm reading this book, The Salts of Salvation by Carey and Perry. And this information was more well known back in the 1800s, early 1900s, as homeopathy was a primary source of healing. And actually they had whole hospitals in New York and et cetera, and other places that were combined allopathy and homeopathy. Doctors were trained in both. So, you know, nothing changes more than the past. We forget. We forget. A lot of information gets lost on purpose, or information gets distorted. So when you go to some of the sources of this information, and there is a whole association with the parts of the body and the signs and the minerals, and it actually is very true. And if you follow the path of the sun and move with it, then you can actually balance your blood with these mineral salts. So it's a really fascinating way to come into harmony with the angles of light that are happening. And I was thinking about the angels of light and the angles of light because in biogeometry I work with different angles. They represent a color quality. So there's like a way to use color and number and angle to help alchemize disturbances on the land and in the body. And this whole system really aligns with that. This medical astrology and really understanding the seasons we go through and how to work with the angles of light. And the sun, you know, gives the land, when it hits certain angles, it's giving the land a certain angle of light that creates things, that creates the plants and the flowers. Like right now, there's so many flowers, everything's blooming, and it's the fruits of the season that come from these angles of light. Well, and we are the soil. We are a part of this ecosystem. We're in the earth, not on the earth. So it affects us as well. So welcome to Gemini season, and get that blood thinned out, for the heat of the summer is coming.